Welcome, viewers. Our surrounding daily, dangerous situations happen. We look for places that are quiet, places that are safe, especially when we are traveling with family. But some dangers are not what they seem. A friendly face can be a mask. Society is often turning a blind eye to the darkness hiding in plain sight. And it's continuing. If you are a parent, you cannot easily overlook the story we are about to discuss. Today, we delve into the legend of an Ohio motel where some guests never checked out. Why? Because they were never meant to leave. The case begins with a family, the Millers. David Miller, 45 years old, an engineer by trade, a logical man. Beside him, his wife Jessica, and in the back, their 16-year-old daughter Chloe. They were on a cross-country move, hoping for a new life. Then, on a late August evening in rural Ohio, a new twist in their journey. Their car engine failed, a violent shudder, and then silence. David, the pragmatist, could find no logical solution under the hood. They were stranded. Panic began to set in for his wife, Jessica. "What do we do, David? There's nothing out here." It was the daughter, Chloe, who saw it first. About a half-mile down the road, a flickering neon sign, the Sleepy Hollow Motor Inn, and below it, a single word, vacancy. If for this family, it was a solution, a temporary fix until morning. They gathered their bags and began to walk toward the light, not knowing they were walking away from a simple problem and into a place where the problems would never end. As they approached, they observed the scene. The motel was not derelict. The grounds were tidy. But there was a profound silence. No other cars were in the parking lot. The only sound was the buzz of the neon sign. This was the first red flag. The man behind the office counter gave them a wide, welcoming smile. He was older, perhaps in his late 60s, with neatly combed gray hair and pale blue eyes. He introduced himself as Arthur. "Car trouble?" he asked. David explained the situation. "Of course, plenty of room at the inn," Arthur said. "We don't get as much traffic since the new interstate went up, but we keep it ready for those who find their way here." As David filled out the registration, Jessica looked around the lobby. The decor was strange, specifically the taxidermy. An owl, a fox, and behind Arthur, a series of beautifully mounted butterflies. It felt less like a lobby and more like a museum of things that had stopped moving. "That'll be $40, cash if you've got it," Arthur stated. Card machine's been on the fritz. David paid in cash. Another small detail, another anomaly. Arthur handed him a heavy, physical key for room 7. "It's one of our quietest," Arthur said, his pale blue eyes lingering on them for a moment. "Sleep well." The corridor was long and quiet. When David opened the door to room 7, he immediately saw something that aroused suspicion. On the outside of the door were 2 heavy-duty deadbolts, the kind that required a key. Why would you need to lock someone in? He dismissed it. A logical explanation could be to secure the room when empty. But the thought remained. The room was unnervingly clean. But the oddities continued. 1. The single window was sealed shut with old silicone. 2. There was no phone in the room. No Wi-Fi signal. 3. A strange chemical smell, sweet and floral but unnatural, seemed to come from the air conditioning vent. 4. In the bathroom, the shower head was not a standard fixture. It was a single, nozzle-like opening, like something from an industrial facility. Each detail on its own was explainable, but together, they started to form a picture David didn't understand. A picture that caused a cold knot to tighten in his stomach. That night, no one slept easily. The daughter, Chloe, bored and without a phone signal, decided to go for a walk. She left the room and walked the property, searching for a cell signal. That is when she found that the motel was not a simple U-shape. It was a maze. Corridors branched off into the darkness, twisting back on themselves, lined with the doors of countless rooms. The layout made no sense. Then she saw a light on in a maintenance shed. Inside was Arthur, the owner. He was not fixing a pipe. He was standing over a workbench, meticulously cleaning old, worn luggage. A leather suitcase from the 50s, a floral duffel from the 70s, a hard shell case from the 90s. As Chloe watched, a chill washed over her. The bags looked like they had been packed for a trip and then forgotten. As Arthur turned by chance, his eyes met hers through the window. For a fraction of a second, his gaze locked with hers. The friendly mask was gone. His face was blank, his eyes cold and empty. Chloe ran. She scrambled back to room 7, her hand shaking as she tried to work the key. "He saw me," she gasped. "The owner, he's in a shed cleaning all this old luggage. And the motel, it's huge. I think there are other people here." Her father, David, tried to rationalize it. "He's cleaning out old lost and found. Old motels have weird additions." He said the words, but he was wrong. The image of the key, locks on the outside of their door, flashed in his mind. Later that night, David woke up, his throat dry from the strange, sweet air. He left the room to find a vending machine. He walked down the silent corridor, past room 6, room 5, room 4. He turned a corner where the lobby should have been. Instead, he faced another long, identical corridor. He turned back. The corner he had just come from was now a solid wall. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. This was impossible. He was an engineer. He had a natural sense of direction. He tried to retrace his steps. But the layout was changing around him. A hallway that should lead to the parking lot ended in a closet. The number on his own door, room 7, was gone. The doors were now numbered in the 200s and the sequence was wrong: 201, 202, 208, 204. Panic set in. He began to run through the disorienting, repeating pattern of the maze. The motel was playing with him. He felt he was being watched. Then, just as despair began to take hold, he rounded a corner and saw it. Room 7. He stumbled back inside, shaking, locking the door. The clock showed only 10 minutes had passed. He tried to tell himself it was a hallucination, but he knew. What he had experienced was real. The case is not closed. This was a new twist. The building was alive. The next morning, David marched to the office. His fear now turned to anger. Arthur was behind the counter, polishing a frame. That same placid smile on his face. "I want to talk about the layout of this place," David said. "The hallways, they change." Arthur stopped his polishing. The smile lost all its warmth. He whispered. "You're more observant than most. My great-grandfather designed this place. He believed a building could be more than just a shelter. It could be a collector." "What are you talking about?" David demanded. "The Sleepy Hollow Motor Inn has needs, Mr. Miller." Arthur continued, his eyes gleaming. "It needs to be occupied. The corridors shift to confuse, to disorient, and ultimately, to encourage our guests to stay." The friendly owner was gone. This was the real killer, a soft-spoken monster. The terrible truth settled on David. They were not guests. They were acquisitions. The motive was not money. It was to feed the building itself. "We're leaving," David said. He returned to the room. "Pack your bags. We're walking out of here." They rushed out of the room. Not through the lobby, but straight for the highway. Their car was where they had left it. But it was not how they had left it. The hood was up. The engine was gone, not just broken. It had been systematically dismantled, its parts laid out on a tarp like a body after an autopsy. Their cell phones, left in the car to charge, were also gone. They were trapped. Cut off. Then, they heard Arthur's voice from the office porch. "I do apologize for the inconvenience." He called out, his tone infuriatingly pleasant. "It seems you'll have to stay with us a little longer. Don't worry. We'll take good care of you." He gestured to the sprawling motel. The motel gets lonely. It craves company. and it's so very good at keeping the company it finds. He took a slow sip from his mug. Some of our guests have been here for a very, very long time. In a way, he said with a chilling smile, they've become part of the place. They never checked out. The Miller family was never seen again. The official investigation, which happened weeks later, found only the ruins of an abandoned motel. The theory was a gas leak or arson caused the unstable structure to collapse. The case of the missing Miller family was briefly linked to the site, but with no bodies recovered, their disappearance became another unsolved mystery. The case that was seemingly closed was never truly solved. The truth behind the case remains a legend, but the stories linger in the whispers of drivers who claim they sometimes see a flicker of neon on that dark stretch of road. Then, months later, another shocking twist. In the city, where Chloe Miller should have been starting her new life, a postcard arrived for another young woman living at her old address. The image was an old photograph of a quaint, U-shaped motel. There was no return address. On the back, a simple, chilling message in elegant script. Wish you were here. The truth is, evil like that, an idea so twisted, doesn't just disappear. It just waits patiently in the quiet, forgotten places for the next traveler to lose their way. If you are a fan of crime stories, mystery, solved and unsolved narratives, this channel is for you. Subscribe to our channel now. Why? Because we bring videos like these regularly. Thank you for watching. Sleep well if you can.